Welcome to the Live Your Adventure podcast, a place for stories, ideas, and conversations that challenge you to live with intention and create an adventure that's truly your own. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Live Your Adventure podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hand. Today we're here for the season finale of season 1, and the topic today is living the adventure every day. And I'm here today with Geoff and Anita Scott. Welcome.
Thank you.
Chula.
And Chula. Yes,
Who wants to be in the middle of things?
That is fun. Dogs are very welcome. and we hear the tail wagging, which is just fine. So the Live Your Adventure podcast, I'll give folks a little preface as to, for me, what does adventure stand for? And this has been talked about in some of the other episodes, but adventure is a decision. That's where it starts. Somebody has to decide. And part of this is about we want to live with intention. We don't want to just drift through life. We want to think about what we want to accomplish and do. And that how we live and how we tackle adventure, it's different for everyone. People don't have to compare themselves to somebody else's adventure. It's not a competition. And it can be very personal. And it's really about finding challenge in how we go about life. Sometimes it's, again, like I said, personal, but it also sometimes has a community aspect to it. And the last item I talk about a lot is it's anti-comfort. Comfort is the enemy.
That's good.
I've repeated that one many times as we go through here.
Yeah.
And as we get through that, one of the things we've run across is people are constantly putting artificial limitations on themselves. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. My health isn't good enough. There's things that hit us in life and we've got to adapt to. And we've had some episodes previously that have been about health as an adventure, education as an adventure, and everybody's at a different spot. And we have to adapt to that and find our path forward, which is all good, but it's all with intention. And so when I came up with this cast of characters for this season, I very quickly wrote the two of you down, and very quickly I was like, these two, if they're willing to do it, they're going to be the finale for this first season, which has all been about choosing or defining the adventure is kind of the overarching theme. And today we're really talking about, every day we're choosing adventure. And when folks, I think, in the community look at you two, you've definitely seem to live that way in life. And so before going any further, I guess I'll hand it over to you guys for a second. Give me something about yourselves. You can go anywhere you want. You've got many, many years of adventure behind you. But start somewhere. Maybe back when you two first met. Something about yourselves.
I'll give it to you.
Well, I'll take it somewhere else, Steve, because just listening to you and listening to a little bit about your philosophy of adventure and comfort and things like that, it made me think right away is one of my mantras, which is stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
That's something that slowly has come into my life in lots of different ways. And when I volunteer locally for things that I do, a lot of times it's like, I don't feel very comfortable doing this, but I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that can be, as you say, it can be for volunteerism, or it can be physical. It could be trying to build something in the backyard or fix a car.
It could be figuring out how to fix something.
It's figuring out.
You embrace the puzzle very readily of whatever it is that's broken and needs fixing, and you kind of go at it with gusto.
But the thing is just being comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think society would be better if more people were uncomfortable more often, or put themselves in situations and being comfortable with being uncomfortable. I mean, even deciding, going back to your question about when I met Anita and eventually decided to marry her, that was a very uncomfortable time.
Mm-hmm.
Going like, as a young man saying, do I want to be in a permanent relationship with one person is a very uncomfortable decision.
Mm-hmm. It certainly can be.
Yeah.
So if going back there, where were you folks when you met?
Southern California.
Okay. And I'm assuming you were both living adventurous lifestyles back then. I've heard a little bit.
Oh,
in the
you
past.
know this.
No, I don't know very
this,
much
Steve.
of it. I know a little bit from sitting
You're fishing.
Well, Geoff was raised by a family who loved going into the Sierra Nevada from Southern California for summer hiking and camping and for winter skiing. And they did that so regularly that they had a little mini trailer that they would park at a campsite in Bishop, California, and they would go from there and do their adventure. Okay, so that's it's an Austrian mother, Hungarian father, living in Southern California. I was raised in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. in Maryland, and my mother would have loved nothing more than for me to be a society lady.
Okay.
And so she sent me to a private school. She had me prepared to be a debutante, going to so many dances. I don't even remember which one was my coming out one. So that's a very different environment. And I remember going car camping once or twice, but that was about it. And but I had interests in the outdoors and in my dog, and so I had interests that were different than what my mother would have liked my interest to be. So these two people came together, pretty different people with pretty different backgrounds.
So what brought you to California?
Going to school at University of California, Santa Barbara.
Okay, cool. So we'll fast forward a little bit. What brought you back here to Maine?
Job opportunity, outward bound.
That's right. You spent many years.
Yeah, they recruited me. I was in high tech in software in Boulder, Colorado, which is not a bad place to be living if you like the outdoors and adventure. And working with very smart people, and a friend of a friend knew the executive director, and they were recruiting, and we came out. They flew us out. We met families here, talked about raising the family here, and the difference between raising a family here and raising in Colorado and Boulder, and we decided this is a good place, and so we we moved out with Outward Bound.
Cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I learned,
and that's what brought me here.
Okay.
That's what
So
brought me here.
Jeff was.
Anita left off that she was dating my brother.
Yeah.
I do remember hearing that.
Yeah.
Jeff's brother was my first love.
Okay.
Yeah. But what was happening is that Anita was traveling around the world, going to Australia, going to Europe, and my brother didn't want that. Didn't want somebody who was out adventuring all the time. And I thought that was cool. It's like, this woman is stepping out. Yeah. And I thought it just made me more interested in her.
Interesting. And so he just mentioned Australia. You have some background or some family from Australia?
My mother was from Sydney, and my father met her when he was on R&R, when he was serving in World War II.
Okay.
22nd Bomb Group. They'd go down to Sydney for R&R, and she was serving in the American Red Cross, even though she was Australian, because American women, it was too risky for them to cross the Pacific to go and serve in the South Pacific. So she stepped up and was helping out there.
Okay.
And so that's how they met.
Cool.
And he enticed her. Uh-oh.
That's all right.
That's your
all right.
bone.
We don't want her to hear that bone. It's way too noisy. Anyway, he enticed her to come to the States, and they married in 1945. And actually, it was when she was crossing the Pacific to go to the States that the war ended, and they celebrated on board the ship. So
Neat.
it's pretty interesting.
So one of the things I've known you're well traveled. You've gone some really cool places. I'd heard about Africa. I didn't realize there was 2 Africa trips. So were those before or after kids?
Both.
Both. So one before, one after.
BK and before. BK. Yeah, the intention, and this is a common thread through our lives, but we decided that after we got married that we would leave our work and go somewhere. And we decided to go to Europe because of my relatives there, and then see where that went from there. And while we were in Budapest, Chernobyl happened, and it was very difficult to get information about Chernobyl. Mm-hmm. But we decided to take the train south to put more distance between us and Chernobyl, because we weren't clear on how far-reaching the fallout would be. And so we went down south to Greece, and we had the idea of becoming a hand somewhere on a boat and crossing to Africa, possibly Egypt and things like that. But right then, Libya was happening. And we put flyers up all through Piraeus, which is the port there. And nobody was responding to us. Even the American family that we met would not admit that they were American. They were flying Canadian flags on the stern of their boat.
I thought they were pretending to be Swedish.
Or maybe, I don't know. They were pretending to be something else.
Yeah. Okay.
And they wouldn't talk to us. But eventually they talked to us. Everybody was very cautious about being identified as American.
Gotcha.
And that didn't work. And eventually, this is in 85, 86, eventually we decided, given the conditions, that we would fly to Nairobi in Kenya and skip Sudan, because there were some issues in Sudan as well, instead of heading south. And we did that. And then we figured, what's going to happen there? We weren't sure, and we learned there in Kenya that you can't really get to the game parks unless you have a car.
Right.
And so we started searching around for vehicles in Nairobi, which is kind of an adventure, too, when you don't have a car to get around.
That was Jeff's job.
This was
Find
my
a
job.
car.
Yeah. And so I was looking for, when you look at these, when you do overland anything, you want to look at a car that is common in the country that you're going to, so you can get parts. And people know how to service it, too. So it's not an oddball. So I was looking at a Toyota or a Land Rover, and I was out looking at a Toyota near, what's that woman's name? Karen Blixen? Karen?
Out of Africa.
Out of Africa.
Story.
Yeah, she lived there. And I was looking at a Toyota that was for sale, and while I was looking at the Toyota, which didn't look very interesting, there was a car, a Land Rover, I could tell, underneath a tarp. And I asked about that, and they said, oh, that's some English guy that was doing an overland trip that melted down. The group melted down. They didn't work together,
Fell
and so he
apart.
left and left the car here and just parked. And I said, well, maybe he'd want to sell that.
Right.
And it was fully kitted out. I mean, not kitted in a fancy way, but it had everything you needed,
Because it had been traveling overland from South Africa.
Yeah, so, and they just abandoned it. But we did that. And then Anita at the same time was looking for us
To sort of volunteer with wildlife, do some kind of interesting job with what related to wildlife, because I was a wildlife biology major, so that was where my interest lay in going to Africa. And so I was looking for something.
She was looking for an angle for us to get into the game parks, because in the national parks, because it's very expensive to be in the parks. They charge you US dollars per day per person. And she worked with the museum and eventually Peter Katz and hooked up with a project that was doing research on black-backed jackals. And so we became the field research team.
Me.
We were
we got
surveying
free-
game parks, looking at the jackals.
But we were seeing everything else at the same time, too. So we got free entry on that
So
one. That was our first vehicle, serious vehicle, yeah.
So you referred to it as an overland vehicle, but
Yeah.
were they actually calling it overlanding back then?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
maybe
they
in
were.
Africa they were.
In Africa, they were calling it overlanding.
Okay.
Because after we got it, then we had to find a place to park.
Ma Roaches.
And that was Ma Roach's, which is, I don't even know if it still exists.
No.
But Ma Roach was it was a house with
She was a Polish woman.
she was a Polish, maybe an acre of property, maybe. And it was just grass and trees. And she allowed people to park wherever they could.
Okay.
And they pulled in from the back and the front.
We paid.
Oh, you pay.
But there
You pay.
all kinds of campers, and it was basically the nexus of campers and overlanders
In Africa.
in Nairobi.
Well, in Africa,
Nairobi.
because Nairobi was the place to
Yeah.
re-kit out and
I've heard so
fix
much
things.
positive about Nairobi.
Yeah, it was just and Ma Roach's was the only place. People are pulling engines out in the and
People were
everybody
passing
helping.
through from West Africa to East Africa. You saw such a cross section of people.
Families,
Unbelievable.
Cool.
small Suzukis, the two-seater Suzuki.
The chimneys or whatever they call them.
No, these are the two-seater Suzukis.
Okay.
This is the little tiny,
Like a
looks like
box.
looks
Tiny
like
little
a
box.
tiny Jeep, but it's got a cab room for two, and they were sleeping their kids in the back
They
in a
had a
sling.
2-year-old.
2-year-old in a sling behind the seat because there's only two seats.
So how
They had come down from France to Nairobi, overland through the
This tiny
Sahara.
car. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Cool.
To pull the engine, you have to pull the front bumper off.
So how long did you for this first trip to Africa? How long did you spend down there?
15 months.
I think we were 7 months in Kenya. 7 months in Kenya.
We were a long time in Kenya.
A long
And then we
time in
went
Kenya.
south, yeah.
And then we went south, down to
Okay.
South Africa.
So he bought the car, but it needed some work, and he found he had to drop the engine he had
That was a
a
trans.
transmission.
Let me tell you, those old transmissions are a lot heavier than you think. I got it out and it just crushed me. It was funny.
So now I know where the daring comes to lay here in the yard and work on
Right,
on
exactly.
whatever vehicle needs something.
Yeah.
But
It
what's
gets worked
interesting,
out.
so we went from Nairobi and did a trip and returned and ended up in South Africa. But when we were at Ma Roach's and saw that cross section of people, we got a much better sense of overlanding. Not only that, but having found a car that was kitted out for overlanding, we're going,
It was a
well,
great way to learn.
we can do that with this car. How far shall we go?
Yeah.
First, we're thinking, we'll go into Tanzania and look at the parks there. And the more people we met, the broader our vision became about where we will and could go. So we ended up creating a notebook, and we'd see people who just come in from hither and yon, and we'd sit down with them and say, well, where'd you go? What did you do? Where'd you stay? And just gathered information from the people who had been
It's the standard way that it was done.
Yeah.
That was the internet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you'd sit
There you
and
go.
have beer and tea and
Yeah.
sit in your folder lawn chairs or on the ground or whatever,
Cool.
and that's where you circled up and learned about what the roads were down the way and what issues at borders,
Oh, yeah.
how to
And
get through the borders.
Of course,
and-
South Africa, anybody who had come into South Africa would not be able to go anywhere else in Africa once they'd been there. And we knew that, and we didn't plan to go to South Africa. And then we met people who had come through South Africa and continued on through Africa. How did you do that?
Yeah, so you
What did
learn those
do?
things. You
This
learn-
is what you need to throw out. This is what you need to make sure you don't have in the car.
Yeah.
These are the numbers you need to rub off your tires, whatever. So this is how you change your, this is where you go to change your passport so that it doesn't show evidence you've been there. So all that we just sort of gathered from them. And the one other thing that we picked up at Ma Roaches was traveling with kids. And okay, there's the couple with the Suzuki and the 2-year-old. No, what a waste of time. I mean, the 2-year-old's not going to remember it. It's just a lot of extra effort, a lot of extra work. I don't know if it's really worth it. 5-year-old. Okay, the 5-year-old is not really going to get the bigger picture. The 5-year-old is a real pest to the adults because she has no playmates. And so she was continually kind of
roaming the camp. She was roaming the camp.
yanking on the adults, and she was lonely, and that didn't seem right. Then there was a man coming through who had just been all the way across from West Africa with his 10-year-old. And he was homeschooling the 10-year-old during the trip. And we're going,
Weren't they
That's
talking like when they were
interesting.
washing out in the back? They were doing the laundry.
I remember
and he was
them.
doing the lesson.
yeah, he
Yeah,
is
that was
sitting
great.
there at the taps, the cold water taps outside,
Doing wash.
doing their wash in the buckets. And he's got his books, and he's studying there. And
While the
he's-
dad is doing the laundry.
He's
That is so cool.
got to write a paper about the pygmies, having just visited the pygmies, and
In
we're
West
going.
Africa.
Now that makes sense.
That's
Experiential
experiential learning.
That
Exactly.
makes sense. So then and there, having been married for all of 6 months, we decided when our kids are middle school age, we're going to come back, and we're going to do it again with them.
Yeah, well, we said we were going to go somewhere. We weren't sure when.
Yeah.
But we did decide to go back to Africa, and we were considering the world
Yeah.
because of how dynamic Africa, the continent, is, and all the countries are in there. And we felt that the greatest change was going to be happening on that continent.
Yeah.
So we did that.
So that's where they would experience discomfort. That's where they would learn resilience. That's where they would see all different sort of the effects of different governments on different countries. That's where they would be the odd race out in many places. So it ticked a lot of boxes in terms of what
Cool.
we wanted them to see.
So that, we, during those travels, and Anita touched on it, we saw all these different shapes and versions of what people chose and adapted to that allowed them to live for long periods of time while traveling overland. And it was the huge gamut. As I mentioned, the Suzuki is the smallest, although there were motorcyclists that would go too.
That's true.
But yeah, there were motorcyclists too. But then there's the other end, which is huge Mercedes Benz trucks with a flatbed on the back, with a trailer on it, with a platform on top of the trailer that would be sort of a deck. So the deck is like three stories up, and they'd stop and they'd put umbrellas up there and all that kind of stuff. So you've got people in a Suzuki that have hammocks, and then you've got a full-on trailer mounted on a flatbed, huge semi truck.
And everything in between.
And everything, but most of them are 4-wheel drive. In those, they're almost all 4-wheel drive.
And then there were
of some version.
There were those tour buses that would come through. There were
The
sort of
overland buses.
tours where people have their sort of own little sleeping berth where the luggage would normally go or something. It's just so they were roughing it in a bus with a lot of other people all the way down from Europe through Africa.
I can see us as bringing back so many cool memories.
Yeah, we're kind of drifting.
That's good.
We're glazing,
That's good.
glazing over.
So, 15.
and then the next time we came back, we decided when we came back with the kids is like, how do we like to roll? What's our set? We've seen so many, and we like the how versatile is, and we like traveling a little lighter. So we like the Land Rover setup. We like that setup, and we like being on the roofs, and so we like rooftop. That's what we like.
So you were there. I'm assuming you sold the vehicle and then came.
Yep, sold it to some Swedes the first time, and the second time we bought a police transit. The second time we bought a police transit vehicle that was in England and had it shipped to South Africa.
Okay.
And we did that again, just nodding so that the car wasn't registered in South Africa. It was registered in England, and it's easier to go across countries in Africa with an English registered vehicle.
Your what, temporary import permit or something like that?
Yeah, the carnet.
Carnet. Okay, yeah.
Carnet de
It's
passage.
like a passport for a car.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's called carnet de passage, and they take it's a book with a bunch of pages, each page for a country, and it has the main part of it, then 2 segments that can be ripped off, one at the
in and one at the out.
And one coming out, and the country then matches it up to see whether that car ever left.
It's not complicated. I mean, it makes sense. They just want to make sure that the car comes in and goes out, so that you're not skipping out on paying taxes.
Right. You didn't go into the country and sell the car.
And they're trying to say, hey, if you do that, then you pay taxes.
You're going to pay tax on it. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the whole purpose.
Cool. So there's one whole long adventure.
2.
We
went with the
came
kids.
back. So it was 10 or 12, 13 years later?
86, 87, so that would have been
So it was 86 for the first trip, and
2000, 2001.
2001 for the
second trip.
Yeah,
so it's more.
14 years.
Yeah.
14,
And again,
years.
How does this happen? We are not wealthy.
No.
We're middle class. Even after we came back from Africa and had to find jobs again. Before kids.
Before kids.
No, but this is before kids. We came back. We saved, I think it was $50 a month for our next trip.
Planning it a dozen years.
Yeah, we ran on a budget, $50, and we're saying, the kids are going to be 10, 12 years, $50 a month. It's going to give our it's going to be our basis and blah, blah, blah. We didn't know where we were going to go. But what the trick is to put the flag in the ground.
Yep.
And not just talk. You may not know the super details, but you're going to say, this is when it's going to happen. And then you build towards that.
Well, that was the definition of an intention right there.
Yeah.
We lived with very tight belts.
Yep.
Shopping and Goodwill, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we had one income. I was working, first home with the kids, but then working a little bit here and there. Basically, I didn't contribute to the income. So we had one income from a nonprofit between those 2 trips.
Yeah, the nonprofit my
Outward Bound.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that time, yeah, that's right. That was Outward Bound. Yeah.
Cool.
So there was a move involved in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the move to Maine.
I'm going to jump this quite a few years, probably.
Totally fine. We'll go whatever.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
So we had seen each other in the community. My old firm did work for your employer.
And we moved into your old firm space.
Yes, exactly. We swapped offices or whatnot over the years. And then I tackled something that I think you guys have been doing forever. But 2013-ish, I decided to jump into the dance.
That was amazing.
World.
That was freaking amazing.
It really was
It's the hardest thing I ever did in my life.
Very impressive that you took that on so intentionally. Yeah.
So I know when my world of anything to do with dance started in 2013 of any
Why did
quality.
you do it? Why did you?
Oh, my word.
I mean, it was such an awkward thing for you. Sorry,
So
is that not a strong enough word for you?
That's great.
What is a beat and how do you hear it?
That's me. That's me. No, we went before that. I was always the awkward person at the dance. I just
You wouldn't dance.
Never knew.
You didn't dance.
And then we went to a bar mitzvah, and the boys were in the back seat on the way home, and my oldest, Steven, is like, "Hey, Mom, Dad can't dance." And she's like, "He never's been able to." And I was like, "Okay, that's it. I'm done. Never, ever, never going to happen." That was probably 2007 or 8.
I just want to put a footnote here. Amy loved to dance.
Oh, I know.
I just want to say that's got to have been your brain somewhere.
2013, she did an event, and I saw that she was having a lot of fun, and I went and took some lessons without her knowing.
Was that Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah, local thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, she's having a lot of fun, let me see, and I went and took some lessons and was still lost. And fortunately, eventually found somebody that could figure out me, which was difficult. But now it's become a big part of my
passion.
life.
It's a passion.
Yeah.
And you're good.
Certain people that I interfaced with over the years kind of changed that. Angel Figueroa was a person that he's the one that convinced me that when actually it was the day that I was told I couldn't skate anymore. That night, he had happened just to fly to Maine to do an event. I think you guys might have done one of them down in Booth Bay Harbor.
Yeah, I think that was it.
I'm sitting at the bar with Angel, and he's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "What do you mean, what's wrong?" He goes, "Something's not right with you right now. What's wrong?" And I was like, "Wow. Doctor just told me this morning I can't skate. I need to drop skating
because of the knee."
Yeah. And so I'm cold turkey. I'm not going to coach. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to ref. I'm done with it. And he's like, "Well, take all that effort and put it into dance."
He said that.
He's the one. He said, "Yeah, you know you're not a pro, but you're darn good." And we continued to drink. And I'd ordered another drink. He goes, "Cancel that drink." And he reached down and opened up a bag and pulled out a 3-ring notebook and put it on the table in front of me. He goes, "Yeah, you don't have time for another drink because you need to study. you need to study this because you're teaching tomorrow." I was blown away. I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Yeah, the guy that normally comes up from Florida and helps us teach, he can't come, so you're going to be the other teacher."
Well, good for him.
It was a little awkward because...
but you had been dancing for a while then, clearly.
Oh, for a while.
4 years.
He wouldn't have asked you.
4 years. But it was a little strange between Katie and I because I was actually teaching Katie.
Oh, she was in the class?
She was in the class. And it wasn't like a A level and B level. It was the A division, the B division, and everybody did both. And I had the B division.
So Katie is a common denominator for us as a wonderful teacher of West Coast swing.
Right.
She would host blues dancing and dancing at her home once a week throughout the year.
For many years.
And we all would go, and it wasn't a lot of people. It was maybe 9 people. Not a big number of people, but we'd all go, and it was a very special part of our week. And so Katie, though she had a profession, dancing was a passion for her, and it was her avocation. She was very serious about dance in terms of teaching it and learning it herself. So I'm just giving you background
Oh,
to
yeah.
Katie.
We said a name.
You're teaching Katie.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all that, you turn the tables here, which is fine. So how did dancing enter your lives?
Let's see. I think it was 11th grade.
A little earlier in your life than it was for me.
I was at a classic high school dance, and I liked dancing, touching my partner, the woman, more than I dancing apart. And so I asked my mother, Viennese, to teach me how to dance.
Okay.
And so she taught me the square. And the next dance I danced with different women, and they really liked it. And I go, this is kind of cool.
This is a great
and
way.
I really liked it too.
Yeah.
And it just spoke to me. And I wouldn't say it was consistent from that point on, very inconsistent. But when I got to, and we mentioned Boulder, where we were living, I took a number of lessons in Boulder because it was kind of cool to be dancers at that time. Tango and salsa, particularly. West Coast was not a happening thing yet.
No.
Yeah, and swing. So those were the three things that started me.
And when we started dating,
Anita already said she's a cotillion. She's.
Oh.
Yeah.
So when we started dating, you'd already been dancing and going to. You had dance friends and partners in Boulder. So
Yes, I did.
when we started dating.
And we were actually going out on dance dates.
Right.
We would do dance dates, which
and
is
so
a whole other story.
it was only my back. I took my first dance lesson. I was 12. So just going to these regular sort of cotillion type ballroom dance lessons. So I hadn't developed any passion for it. I didn't have a dance partner. I didn't even really think twice about it. But when Geoff wanted me to dance, he found that I wasn't, at least I wasn't two left feet, right?
I think I'm bringing back another memory, Steve. Ours was a long-range relationship. I was living in Boulder. Anita was living in New York City, basically. And we had a date in New York. And I also had business in New York, so I flew in and we went out for the night, top of the World Trade Center. Went to a bar there, and they had live music, and we danced. It was the first time I danced with Anita,
Nice.
and it was incredible. It's a
Cool.
great dance. It was
Yeah.
a great dance. That's the dance theme, and taking it back. If you think back about how you make decisions or being in a safe space or being uncomfortable, that's the same theme that's going on here. One of the remarkable things is I think as we went out that night, we had to change in the car in the parking structure to get ready to go out on that date because it was a fancy place and we didn't have fancy clothes on, but we changed in the car before we went up there. And it was like,
Amy and I now, we were snowmobiling years ago, and all snowmobile gear all day long.
oh yeah.
But in the back seat was a little bag, had my clothes, she had her clothes, dance shoes.
Dance.
On the way home,
That's awesome.
We pulled into this place where changing in the car, getting our clothes on so we could run inside and now dance for the next 2 or 3 hours. So same
Same
type of thing.
and for me that's a reflection of a personality, of a willingness to do that, to be like this is totally cool. I don't need to go home to change or something like that.
Right.
So when I was
Dealing with the circumstances.
when I was dating his brother, that's when I was introduced to backpacking and camping. Carrying your pack up into the beautiful Sierra Nevada, and with his mother, and with him and his mother and a friend of his, and so I was just really taken with it. I just loved going and doing that, and it was new for me in terms of what I'd been exposed to via my family.
Cool. So We could go on and on and on forever, and we may do another episode next in one of the other seasons with you folks, because I think there's stories that could go forever.
There are a lot more. We haven't even got to Australia yet.
I was just going to jump to.
And you did.
You just day in day out though. It's the bike rides. It's the skiing. It's
running
the hiking,
for select board.
Running. Hey, yes,
you're doing it too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's keeping that momentum going. But go back a few years, and out of the blue, I hear, "Hey, yeah, we're going to be heading to Australia."
Yeah.
And we're going to be staying there for a while.
Yeah.
And it just sounds like you had an amazing trip over there. So give us a little highlight of Australia.
Maybe we just have a teaser.
Yeah.
For next season.
Another one of these. Yeah, exactly. The two new themes for the next two seasons. The next one is living the adventure.
There you go.
And the third season, towards the end of the year, is called Sustaining the Adventure. So either one of those.
Well, we are old, dudes.
we might fit into there. But give us a teaser of Australia.
A teaser. Well,
I think we can blame
the whys and wherefores. You mean?
Yeah.
You know, how did this happen?
Yeah.
This is how the thinking. This is good. How did it? What's the genesis?
Yeah. So my mother was from Sydney.
Yeah.
And she and my dad divorced after they'd been married 35 years or so, and she ended up at the age of 71 remarrying to a man from Sydney who a mutual friend introduced her to. And that took her back home from the States. And so she lived with him in the Sydney suburbs, and her stepmother was still living in the house she grew up in. And when her stepmother moved on, she acquired the house, and she and her husband lived in the house she grew up in. They renovated it. So at 71, she remarried and lived for a quarter century with her second husband, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
In the last 3 or 4 years, she was living here in Canada.
So when he passed away, she was 98, and she fortunately expressed an interest in coming back to the States since he was gone. And so she couldn't fly, so she and I took a cruise ship back to the States. And she went to live at Quarry Hill, just a mile away, at the care home. And so that worked out really well. She ended up living 4 more years and dying at 102. But she really did not want to sell her home, even though she was here. So we had people house sitting. And then when she passed, the 3 siblings, I and my 2 siblings, chose to sell the house because it was impractical to keep it. So Geoff and I were charged with that chore.
And cleaning up the estate and getting rid of all the belongings.
So it took us 4 months to do all that, clean it out, and sell the house. But before we left, Geoff say, well, what do you think about driving around Australia?
I mean, we're going to be there. Right?
Sure. Let's do it. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so once again, for the 3rd time, Geoff assigned himself the chore of finding a vehicle. And as he did for the second trip, not the first, but second trip in Africa, he went about that right away, way before we left for Australia. And ultimately, he was able to locate remotely from here, from this house, was able to locate the vehicle after doing a lot of research about what would work for traveling in Australia. He located the vehicle, purchased the vehicle, and by the time we arrived, it was in our driveway.
Cool.
Yeah, the thinking is, like, this can happen anywhere in the world. If you have an opportunity or you need to be somewhere, take advantage of it and plan something bigger. And that's what we did.
And that vehicle, fortunately, was already set up for overland travel.
Again, that was a coincidence.
The second trip in Africa, it was not set up.
Yeah.
No, we had to do all that. But
cool.
But you the first time you're learning, and then second time you're practicing, and the third time you're probably getting it pretty well.
Okay.
So we've set up 3 vehicles.
Yeah.
And each trip covered about 25,000 miles.
Each time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move to some questions.
You have a question?
Questions that might spark something. The first one we've been asking everybody is, what does adventure mean to you? Or how do you define adventure? Another way to put it. But I would actually take it for you folks a little differently, is, and if you feel it, how has adventure evolved for you folks over many years?
How has it evolved?
I think, what comes to mind immediately before looking at the evolved question is the same thing we started with, which is an adventure is any time you're stepping out your comfort zone. And you can do that in so many aspects of your life.
Yes.
Just choose one that works for you. And sometimes you're not sure, and sometimes you are more sure. For me, I do a lot of outdoor adventures, and I keep putting myself out in those situations because out there, and a friend of mine told me this when I was ice skating with him one day, out there, as an outward bound captain, out there is where it happens. It doesn't happen sitting around this table.
No. The planning might happen here.
The plan might happen here, but I mean, it happens out there. All the hard part starts behind your desk, writing letters on the phone, thinking, and all that kind of stuff, and the decisions that happen inside of you to do that and be willing to be uncomfortable, whether that's emotionally or physically or mentally. And for me, that's what adventure is. And I guess for evolution, just naturally, although it hasn't quite happened to me yet, is that the adventure has become more mental rather than physical as I get older. Meaning, if I want to be a mentor to a kid in trouble in town, that's what I would consider a mental stretch for me. It's like, I'm not comfortable doing that, but I'm going to try and see what happens.
Well, one of the things that we've delved into in previous episodes is that it can be totally different. I've talked to folks that literally their goal in the next 10 years is to climb Everest or something similar.
It's physical.
Physical, and others that they just had a heart attack, and their adventure is they're going to walk a mile every day.
Yeah.
And they're pushing themselves beyond some artificial limitation that's been put in front of them. And sometimes it's not totally artificial.
Well, I want to let Anita answer too, but when you, Steve, chose to run for select board in Lincolnville, you were putting yourself in an potentially uncomfortable situation, and that's what I call, anybody. It's like, so
absolutely,
that's what I'm talking about. Anita, you want to?
Right, and I think a key element in order to give yourself the gift of adventure, you need to get yourself to the place of being willing to, to be uncomfortable and to be resilient. You are giving yourself the gift of resilience if you step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, the more resilient you are. So for us, it's really shocking for me to hear from somebody, oh, I'd love to go to Australia, but I wouldn't go there because I don't think I could stay on a plane for that long. And it's so beyond anything I can comprehend that I'm just like, my jaw drops, And I think that, different people have different tolerances, but if they want to broaden their life experience, just take it a step at a time. Just say, okay, this is uncomfortable. I'm going to try it. And if I'm successful, and basically make it so you are successful and experience that success, and then say, now I'm going to push it a little further.
Yeah.
So like in the daily sense, I mean, I was just thinking as Geoff was talking about being out there all the time, he knows every trail and non-trail there is in this entire area. Because when he's out running, he doesn't go on the same route. He goes somewhere interesting.
Mm.
And he follows that trail he doesn't know. And so I can ask him anything about any trail, and he knows where it is and where it goes and what it's like and how steep it is.
Cool. So one of the things we do each episode is we bring up a quote. And it may spark a thought, it may not. But the quote that I'm going to share today is by an actress, singer from Broadway. Her name is Jamie Lynn Beatty. And the quote I really enjoyed was, jobs fill your pocket, adventures fill your soul.
Ah, that's awesome. That is awesome.
There's so many of them. I've got a huge catalog now of quotes that have the word adventure in them.
Jobs fill your pocket, adventure fills your soul.
So balance, find the balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
The job enables you to fill your soul through adventure. Yeah, just don't get it mixed up. The job doesn't fill your soul.
And I think that, speaking of jobs are necessary. You need to buy food. Mm-hmm. But different people have different levels of what they consider to be needs. And I wanted to make sure I did point out that we saved to take our two kids to Africa, and out of work for a year and a half and traveling for much of that, on one nonprofit salary. So what does that mean? It means that you're just watching, you're very careful about what you spend.
You prioritized.
Yeah.
And you just don't need, that's just the mentality. You don't create a bunch of needs. Now, since then, you've come back, and that beautiful house my mother got to move back into in Australia, and that we sold, that became a gift to us for doing other things. And so we're in a different situation now. But when we were doing those trips, we did not have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we came back, and I just so appreciate that when Geoff looked for work coming back, he not only took maybe 50% of the salary he'd been making before, but he also prioritized finding a job that would enable him to be in our town so that he could attend the kids' events at school and be a more present father than he was even in Rockland, which is only 8 miles away or something. You know, it's like, but it's far enough that it makes that trip back and forth sort of
cool.
I do. It feels like we're winding down here, Steve.
I got one more question.
I do want to. I'd forgotten a very important aspect of it, which was I was very lucky when I took the job at Outward Bound. It spoke, and it kind of goes full circle here with the conversation about your quote here about your job feeding your soul. My old job didn't feed my soul so much, which is not unusual. But when I could join an organization that's mission driven, which is putting people out of their comfort zone it's like, well, that just really spoke to me a lot, which made the decision to come here and the quality of life here all possible. And it made us, and Anita was very understanding, made it easier for us to make the decision to lose the money, but be in a happier place.
Cool.
Yeah.
So one of our previous episodes, a guest gave a piece of advice. It says, always put yourself in a position to say yes when an opportunity arises. And so that was an interesting piece of advice from him. If the two of you had to give advice to somebody today that was considering an adventure of some sort, and you've already given some, but any last bits of advice that you would give somebody that's that's teetering on the idea of taking on some adventure?
I would say look at that opportunity as a gift to yourself.
No, that was a good one, Anita.
And grasp it. If that's what you want, if you want to take on an adventure, you do need to grasp it. And it is a gift because it gives you so much. We've done many trips where we did not plan where we were going to camp every night. Even in Africa, had no idea. We had 2 kids. We had no idea where we'd be spending the night.
Mm-hmm.
Every night.
Every night. Every night.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, well, we'll find something, you know. And that in itself, what we found, ended up being interesting. Fortunately, we never had anything go wrong.
Yes.
In terms of danger. But
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't have a great answer for you, but I'll take the opportunity to swing the question a little bit differently. When we came back from the second trip with the kids, we did presentations in the library where your wife works.
Mm-hmm.
And each kid did their own slide presentation, each of our kids. Nita did hers and I did mine, and each of us did it separately. It didn't have to be, you could do anything you want about what you learned on that particular trip. And for me, the hardest, as the sole income person, the hardest decision to make is to leave your job because you don't know if you're going to come back. And I wish there was a way societally for the good of the world that each of us could have built into our agreements with organizations we work as a sabbatical.
You want a sabbatical at
as a
every job.
sabbatical, just like in educational world, is every 7 years you leave and you spend time with your family. It's what an incredible gift to whoever is going away every day and spending all day in the office and then coming back and spending, if you're lucky, 2 hours with your kids a day.
Yeah.
It's so different when you're out there 24/7 with your family. It really, it's hard. It's not easy. But our family is super strong.
Well, that's one of the things for me is I joke I took my 2 adult gap years. In
Perfect.
2016 and 2017. And those were phenomenal.
Yeah.
They had a byproduct because I wasn't doing anything in tech for 2 years, and I came back into tech and went, I'm irrelevant.
You're irrelevant. You're way behind. I had the same issue.
It was a struggle to become relevant again, but I wouldn't trade those 2 gap years in for absolutely anything. And today,
and your family's super strong too.
Yeah, and today the ability, it's not the same, but I know for myself, I'm still working, Amy's still working, but the advent of communications and satellite internet and stuff. I mean, last year I took 3 weeks and fished the coast of Florida with my best friend. And I worked the whole time. And he worked the whole time. And I took conference calls with in the Everglades and was showing people on the conference calls, oh yeah, I've got a little friend next to me, meet Mr. Gator. And you can do those things today, but you have to
nowadays,
you have to stretch your comfort zone to be willing to do that.
We met a therapist in Australia who was in a Sprinter van. And she was with Starlink, and she would, when she had a therapy session,
she was traveling with her partner.
She was traveling with her partner. He would go for a mountain bike ride, and she would close the door.
Yep.
And she had a big screen, cameras all set up, and she'd have her therapy session.
Cool.
And that's how they kept going. So he was an educator, so he was on a sabbatical.
So I think with that, we're going to wrap this up.
What a pleasure.
I think there's definitely going to be another episode with you folks.
I didn't even talk about Nepal or India.
Hey, there's all kinds of places we could go. I guess I would leave this with something I jotted down, which is be like Geoff and Anita.
No.
You had to write that down.
But regardless, the whole concept of Live Your Adventure is you first have to define the adventure, define it.
Yeah.
You then have to pursue it.
Plant the flag in the ground.
Plant the flag.
You have to pursue it after that, and then you have to go live it. And you folks have definitely done those things.
Thank you.
Thank you both. And for everybody else, pay attention for the next season coming up soon. And remember to live your adventure. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for listening to the Live Your Adventure podcast. Remember to hit that subscribe button, follow us on social media at Hand Adventures, and for your next adventure, define it, pursue it, and live it.